We begin tonight with a legend. There was once a great conjurer who took the very elements of the land and crafted strong and powerful things with them. He created Excalibur, the sword wielded by King Arthur as he led the English. And as he led the English to lay waste to the Saxons, they left behind their livestock. Their livestock proceeded to lay waste to the land. They lay waste all over the land. It smelled really, really bad. And so the conjurer went back to the elements and he created a fork, a manure fork, for the collection of manure. But this fork was magical, for it was electrical. The conjurer placed the fork into the stone and awaited the chosen one to come and collect it. But no one would collect it. First of all, electricity would not be invented for 8 centuries, so that really didn't impress anyone. And secondly, no one wanted to be chosen to collect manure. And so the fork waited and waited. Until 800 years later, one summer during the end times, when an American named Ernst Duisberg found it while on what he called a vacation to Europe, but what others called fleeing prosecution. He easily removed the fork from the stone and brought it back to him with America. No one asked any questions on the plane because the fork did not contain 3 ounces of liquid. Once he was back in the United States, Ernst joined with his Manson-like Confederates and discovered not only the electric properties of the fork, but also its true magic, its music, the music of doom. You will hear that music tonight for the very first time on the manure fork that Ernst has dubbed Excalibur.
Infested post-apocalyptic tale by Cormac McCarthy called The Road.
That's the feedback of doom.
He woke in the morning and turned over in the blanket and looked back down the road through the trees the way they'd come. In time to see the marchers appear 4 abreast. Dressed in clothing of every description, all wearing red scarves at their necks. Red or orange, as close to red as they could find. He put his hand on the boy's head. "Shh," he said. "What is it, Papa?" People on the road. "Keep your face down. Don't look." No smoke from the dead fire. Nothing to be seen of the cart. He wallowed into the ground and lay watching across his forearm. An army in tennis shoes, tramping, carrying 3-foot lengths of pipe with leather wrappings, lanyards at the wrist. Some of the pipes were threaded through with lengths of chain fitted at their ends with every manner of bludgeon. They clinked past, marching with a swaying gait like wind-up toys. Bearded, their breath smoking through their masks. "Shh," he said. Shh. The phalanx following carried spears or lances, tasseled with ribbons, their long blades hammered out of truck springs in some crude forge up country. The boy lay with his face in his arms, terrified. They passed 200 feet away, the ground shuddering lightly, tramping. Behind them came wagons drawn by slaves in harness and piled with goods of war. And after that, the women, perhaps a dozen in number, some of them pregnant. And lastly, a supplementary consort of catamites, ill-clothed against the cold, and fitted in dog collars and yoked each to each. All passed on. They lay, listening. Are they gone, Papa? Yes, they're gone. Did you see them? Yes. Were they the bad guys? Yes, they were the bad guys. There's a lot of them, the bad guys. Yes, there are, but they're gone. They stood and brushed themselves off, listening to the silence in the distance. Where are they going, Papa? I don't know. They're on the move. It's not a good sign. Why isn't it a good sign? It just isn't.
So, after the world ends and everyone is dead but you and a few other starving lunatics, you'll struggle to survive. Decency will be something you can no longer afford. To live, you'll band into small groups, and groups like yours will viciously invade homes just to steal some guy's last can of lima beans. But your group is different. Oh, they still viciously assault strangers and steal their shoes. But one of the men in your group used to be a junior high school band director before the world ended. And he convinces your group to march through the bleak landscape, blaring band instruments to announce your approach. Like you were Caesar's legion coming to sack the Gauls. Even though you're really just 4 guys in rags who don't know where the next meal is coming from. 4 guys who incidentally can barely play their assigned instruments. But nobody cares, it's the end of the world. Now, 3 blocks away, in the kitchen of a small duplex, your next victim is startled by the sound of your approach. Everyone is killed. Everyone but you. But in all the confusion, you dropped your clarinet and flee into the streets to an uncertain future. Maybe you die alone in the cold, or maybe you become a catamite slave. Or maybe you find that clarinet and join a well-to-do klezmer band. Your future is unknown.